Book of Mediums, Part 2, Chapter 21. This chapter is about the influence of the environment or the surroundings on spirit communications, on the quality of the seance or reunion. And we all know it's pretty common belief in Cruzado that a clean environment is more conducive to good spirits, or having good spirits around. That good spirits generally don't like, or higher spirits, because my personal opinion and stuff like that, lower and higher, um, generally yes, higher is good or moral, but not always. There are some lower spirits that we would consider good, especially when we look at more indigenous faiths, the way that these spirits manifest and in Cruzado. But for example, like the Orishas in Yoruban Lukumi face, all of them do not like to be dirty. So all your statues, and which is not used in Lukumi. Let's just be clear. Um, but all the shrines or pots have to be dusted or cleaned, or some of them have water inside that have to be always kept clean. Um, Batala likes cleanliness of the white cloth, is purity. There's maybe only like the warriors, like Ogun and sometimes Eshu for a period, or Elegua for a period of time, like to be dirty, but all of them like abhor a dirty environment, and they're considered higher mysterios. Okay, that's why we can't have dirty water glasses on our altar in a spiritismo on our mesa blanca or boveda, because it's gonna draw negative spirits, or the spirits are cleansing us, themselves, another spirit, or the environment of negativity, by the cloudy water, etc. So that's my spiel. Let's get into what Kardec wrote here. Um, I mean, the surroundings, our physical body, he's saying, is a surrounding because it surrounds our spirit. So we're talking about like also the material environment, but also our spiritual environment. It's not just a material environment; it's a spiritual environment. And so, because we are filters, um, that's an environment that the spirit passes through. A superior spirit could overcome this if they want, or if it's useful to them, as a special favor, etc. Um, but it's more likely that negative spirits like that type of trash, rotting, nasty environment, and that will also repel these good spirits. Spirits don't really go where they know, like, it's going to be useless to try to pass a message. Um, they use up energy to do it. So it's like, if you're not gonna get something out of it, then why would you do it? You know what I mean? Like, lower spirits sometimes come to more perfect mediums, more serious reunions, because they're there to get light. They're there to profit from the spiritual message and from the prayers. Um, but they may stay silent completely, not impose themselves either, or may also impose themselves, right? Um, and we don't always just chase them away, because it's part of our duty as spiritists to not only improve ourselves, but to help elevate and process these problems and these spirits, and find out why they're here, why they have a problem. and able to solve the problem. Uh, just ignoring the problem is not going to solve it, basically. So it's not always banish, banish, banish. Um, as a metaphor, banish as a metaphor, right? Um, although there's very negative manifestations, particularly in Kardechism or classic spiritism, not spiritualism, they'll tend to shut down the seance. Just be like, okay, done. Um, and the only tools they really have is to try to educate these spirits and prayer. Whereas in Cruzado, when we start bringing our more indigenous elements in, um, we have other ways to deal with the spirits other than appealing to a higher power. And raising our own vibrations and stuff like that, and prayer is extremely helpful, yes. Um, you don't have to be a medium to attract spirits to you. They're constantly around us. Um, they come and go. Mediumship's not needed for that. Mediumship is communication. There's wandering spirits. Sometimes in a frivolous assembly, a superior spirit is called. They might come and say some seasonable words as a good pastor in the midst of his strayed sheep. But the moment he finds himself neither understood nor listened to, he goes away as you would do in his place. And then all other lower spirits have full liberty or full range to run amok. Because it's a lack of dignity. People who are noble and have a lack of dignity aren't going to lower themselves to argue with ignorant people for the most part. It's not worth it. You got to pick and choose your battles, right? It's not always sufficient for an assembly to be serious to have communications of a higher order. There are people who are very serious and yet their hearts are evil. So it's the heart above all that attracts good spirits. When a spirit agrees with us incarnated humans, it's not because um, the opinion reflects us as a mirror, or we're being told what we want to hear necessarily, but it's also at times because this spirit is in sympathy with us for good or evil. So if we're like thinking evil thoughts, like, should I do this to so and so? And a spirit comes and says, yes, you should, that person, you should mess them up. You should do that to so and so. That spirit isn't giving you advice. That spirit is just the same as you, basically. And um because spirits come that again that are beyond our education, knowledge, or morality as well. So they're not always going to come and just agree with us or not agree with us. The conditions are much better when everybody is in unison for good, and our thoughts and our prayers and our sentiments are more pure and elevated, with the more sincere desire and openness to hear the spirits, what they have to say, and to be instructed without afterthought. And that's also why we do certain prayers at the beginning of Misa. That's also why at the beginning of Misa, before I even start, I get everybody just to relax, calm themselves, and even put out prayers for loved ones, or just put out good energy for someone they love, or just in general to someone they know that they need it. Because then that means that now we're all on the same page of loving somebody. We're all elevating our mood and our thoughts. in unison to create these better conditions for better spirits and better messages.